Okay, so I've been watching some videos on YouTube, and a lot of them were about friendships. And I think this is a good chance for me to share this when it comes to friendships, because a lot of us seem to deal with this idea of loneliness, much feeling alone. The main thing is that when people want to be friends with someone, right, is that they have to, it's not necessarily just a question of connection, but it also, we need to feel as though this person is someone, and so we want to know and feel what this person is about, right? We all have things that we can identify as being our interests. We all have things that we can identify as, being activities that we like to do, where we do them and we don't feel time passing by. And when we do those things, we feel closer to who we are as people, just one with ourselves, right? And in itself, that can, that is, those things are valuable to us even without other people, um, caring about them or seeing them as valuable. And the point here is to say that even though we know we have these things that we care about, that we like to do, blah, 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 a lot of times we choose not to do them, right? And we sort of like to spend time distracting ourselves, looking to other things, or, just staying in the oblivion. Maybe because it's easier, maybe because being more present would make it that facing the life that we have to live harder. It's harder, actually, to be present. But in actuality, to be able to do that, which is harder, to be present and to do those activities that we know are valuable to us, would actually be more fulfilling to ourselves. We would then have a perspective of life, or an experience of life, which would be more enjoyable. And we would also, by consequence, by a byproduct, we would be valuing ourselves. We would be valuing the perspective that we have on life. We would be valuing who we are as people. And by being able to give ourselves that time, energy, and that attention, we would also be able to have it. What I've noticed is it pours out from ourselves onto the world around us. And so ideally we would spend so much time being ourselves that we can attract people around. But the opposite is also true, is that if we spend most of our time consuming content online, we spend most of our time doing things which only entertain us and distract us from reality and ourselves and blah blah blah. And if we overeat and we dilute ourselves with all these things which make us less of ourselves, rather than make us more closer to who we are, then it only makes sense that we would find a void present in our life. And it's funny how direct that correlation is, right? But if I meet you and I ask you, well, what do you like to do? But for the past 2-3 years, you've been confusing yourself into watching this show, that show, eating all this junk food and feeling numb and blah, 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 blah. And I ask you, what do you like to do? You'd be like, I don't know. And at that moment, what has happened is I'm not going to have a harder time. It's going to be harder for me to perceive who you are, because that which you're presenting me with is so diluted that, well, I don't really know where to go from there. And it's kind of concerning to somebody looking from the outside, trying to understand, why don't you give yourself more attention? Why don't you spend more time doing those things which are valuable to you? Because if you don't care about you, you won't care about me either, right? But the opposite is also true. If I come to you and I ask you, hey, so what do you like to do on your free time? What do you care about? What are you up to these days? And you tell me, hey, I've been drawing. I really just came up with this new painting. I really like photography. Here's this project I've been working on. I look forward to this. And now look, you see how conversation just happened? And it's not about being interesting. It's not about faking something, but it's about, I can tell at that moment that the energy that you put into yourself, that you pour into things that you care about. That's reassuring as a person, because it shows me that, well, you care about you. Not only does that make it that now I'd like to know, what do you have to say? What do you have to share? What do you have to not to share, but just what are you up to? Just what are those things? Because you care so much about them. I want to know also what they are, because they seem real. So they are part of reality. They are part of life. And then I will also feel comfortable sharing my own, right? People also feel comfortable sharing their own, passions and interests, because as a consequence, you brought up things that are valuable to you, and they will make people want to bring up things that are valuable to them. You see how this correlation happens. It's kind of like what I'm saying is, it's kind of like there's always things that we can control, and we look at it that way, and we look at it things that we do to have a role to play into things being bad, or things being good, or things being the way we want them or not. Well, at least then there's hope that we can change them, and this perspective allows us to have a control over these things. And so a tangible way to move forward from this, if we feel like we don't have friends, if we feel like this and that, the other, we have this void in our life, well, if you had these activities, if you had these activities written down, or like a list of them, or a clear sense of them, you could just do that. Why don't you do that? Then you wouldn't have the void. And if you don't have the void, and you're not running around trying to fulfill that void with XYZ entertainment or food, then you would just have things to offer rather than things to take. Then you would meet people, they would sense the fact that you are someone and you care about yourself, and then by doing so, you would leave an impression on them. And by the fact that you had something valuable to share, people would feel like what they have to offer would be valued as well, and they would feel valued themselves, and they would like to be in your presence. And so that's what I would do. That's what I like. That's when I apply these things. When I apply those things, I feel like I get closer to my sense of self. I feel like I value myself more, and my sense of void, it dissipates, because there is none at that point, because all my attention, all that void, all that energy, I use towards bettering, or I spend it on those type of activities, those activities that I do, and I just forget that time passes by. And so for anybody that deals with this question of loneliness or feeling alone, this is what I would offer as the only solution that I know, because it works. And why I linked it with the story of this YouTuber and how he was talking about this is that this is pretty much what happened to him too. He had a channel, he shared things that he liked to share, that he liked to make videos about, and people gravitated towards him, and it created a circle for him of friends. And you can see this pattern everywhere, pretty much with anything, from the people in your neighborhood to celebrities. This dynamic sort of repeats itself everywhere, it seems, and everywhere. Anyway, I hope that made sense. Let me know in the comments maybe, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.